What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Tonight's upload is going to be all about this engine, the companies we worked with, what's going to be the goals with it, the plans with it, how long it's going to last with my heavy foot. Yeah, so let's jump right into it. So basically, I guess the best place to start is with the actual engine underneath all the nice, pretty fancy stuff. It's an 06 Cummins, it's 325 horsepower, it's the HO motor of the Cummins world. Originally 330,000 miles on it? Yeah. Something like that. So 330,000 mile, bottom end, top end. We never even pulled the head off. I did pull the oil pan off of it, inspected the main bearings and rod bearings, checked them out. They all look great. The engine did have a little bit of sludge in it, but that's normal for the mileage that's on it. And it was a county maintained vehicle. So even though county workers drive it, they drive and give all these vehicles hell, they do maintain them very well. So, and these Cummins like to be beat. I mean, you guys should know with all the stuff I've done. So that's basically what we've got going on with just the engine. I guess we'll move on to our fancy new alternator right there. What you say, Aaron? Yep. So Aaron, do you want to tell us some stuff about the alternator since you had such a big hand in getting the alternator? Oh, God, by the way, guys, sorry to interrupt. We're in the lawnmower shop. That's where we've been building it. So that's why I see lawnmowers everywhere around us right now. So tell us about the alternator.
Well, I do a whole lot of stuff with car audio, and we are working with Down for Sound Shop. They found us a nice MechMan alternator. I believe it is a 200 amp alternator made for any Dodge.
Well, there's a box. You want to check out the box? We can show them the box. We got some other stuff on the table we can go over to really quick.
240 amp, my bad.
240
amp alternator for our big bad sound system we're going to have on here at some point.
Which Aaron will be designing and setting up. So cool stuff on the alternator. So huge shout out to who is it?
Downforsoundshop.com. You can get them online.
I'll put a link in the description below, and they've also got a YouTube channel, I'm pretty sure.
The Life of Price.
Up next, I've got the oil I put in the engine, which is some Valvoline Premium Blue 15W40, endorsed and recommended by Cummins, baby. So put 3 gallons of that hot stuff in it. We put some Hot Shot Secret friction reducer. We're not sponsored by these guys, but it's some great product, and it should help with some of the sludge that's in there also. So we got new oil in it, some friction reducer. Fire pump diesel did prove it gained like 5% on horsepower. So cool stuff. So we got a brand new Mopar oil filter on here. I went ahead and put a brand new air compressor on it. The AC compressor is actually for a 97, which is the same model as the truck. So what we're doing there is with this AC compressor being the older style, we're going to be running the factory air conditioner system, and part of the factory harness on this engine, kind of laying it over and modifying it a little bit to make the factory tack work. Probably the oil pressure gauge, because I'll get into the wiring harness in a second. So we can read some stuff on the dash, and the dash still works. The only thing on the dash that's not going to work is the speedometer. I might be able to figure out how to make that work. Maybe I'll put a tone wheel on something and make it work. So that's what we've got going on with this side of the engine, the oil filter. Up next, we've got a brand new tensioner on the front of the engine. This is a 5.9, but I did install a 6.7 liter Cummins dampener, and the reason I did that, let me grab the old one. The factory ones are just a piece of metal with another piece of metal on the outside and a big piece of rubber in there, and that kind of lets this thing absorb the vibrations of the engine. So they work great, but everybody's kind of went away from the rubber style dampeners to what's called a fluid dampener. It's got a special kind of gel fluid in there. I don't know exactly how to explain it to you guys to help you understand, but there's fluid in there to help it move around and absorb vibration. So this is a 6.7 balancer. They do bolt right up. They do have the same tone ring on the back of them for the crank sensor. So that's bolted on there, works great, torque down. And then we've got a 6.7 liter Cummins fan hub assembly, and the reason we're running that is because the old fan that we tried taking off, the threads got messed up. So that's why we're running that, and the 6.7 engine that we're building for later, whole another video. We robbed balancer, fan hub assembly, fan pulley, and the idler pulley, which was brand new on it. And we've got a brand new Gates tensioner and a brand new Gates HD belt, Fleet Runner belt, made in USA. We like made in USA stuff on this channel. Brand new 190-degree thermostat in this bag, girl. We're gonna come over here, and we're running the factory 06, or no, or actually this is the, well, it's 06 style power steering pump, but the same thing as what was on the 6.7. I robbed it off the 6.7 because it didn't look like it was pouring oil profusely out of the front of it. So that's bolted on there. We're going to have to modify a lot of these hoses and stuff to hook up to our orbital valve for the steering on the mega truck. Whole another video. We're running the factory 5.9 liter common rail Cummins starter, not the same. This is a different starter compared to the 12 valve starter. So this is the correct starter for this engine, 2006, that we've got on here. Next, we're going to move on to the fuel rail. We've got tons of wiring up here. I'll be explaining all that in a moment. But our injector rail right here is completely different than the factory 5.9. And right here is the factory 5.9 rail, and you can see it's actually a lot smaller. The fuel lines are smaller. The rail pressure sensor is in a different spot. Oh, that reminds me, go put a rail plug on the front of it. I gotta do that. So 6.7 rail, 6.7 fuel filter delete provided by industrial injection. And the injection pump is still a CP3 style injection pump, but is a 12 millimeter, 120% over remanufactured injection pump. So this is enough fuel with this injection pump, this style injector rail, and the injectors in here are 88% over remanufactured injectors from industrial injection also. So with the fuel combination we've got with the CP3, the bigger injection rail, and the injectors we've got in here, we've got enough fuel for over 1,000 horsepower. The only limitation is going to be our turbo, of course. So tons of fuel on it, and also the reason we went with a lot of 6.7 stuff on this engine, including the rail, is because we're going to be building the 6.7 Cummins, and we want to be able to transfer as many things as possible from this engine to the new built motor whenever we got to put that in later this summer. So on the side of the engine, if you watched last night's video, it's kind of crazy and all over the place of me trying to assemble the engine. It's kind of hard for me to film and Aaron to film when the engine build is such a long process. Excuse me. And I kind of like just to get things done, I like stopping and talking on building engines because I kind of lose track and forget things. So we've got billet rear freeze plug. We've got 3 billet side freeze plugs from industrial injection also. The head studs are ARP 2000s, I'm pretty sure, or 425s. They're the smaller of the 2 head studs you can get for these. But with the style turbo we're running, and possibly running a future wastegate on it, depending on what kind of boost pressure we see and back pressure and things like that, next weekend at the mud hole, we may end up putting a wastegate on it. So head studs, we've got industrial injection valve springs, billet push rods in here also. I've ran the valves, adjusted all those bad babies up at 8 thousandths on the intake and 18 thousandths on the exhaust. And up next we've got our turbski here, our Nagasaki noisy boy. So we've got a BD exhaust manifold. It's T4 outlet, flange size, whatever you want to call it there, and it's a 3-piece. And what the 3-piece does is allow the engine from when it gets hot and cold and heats up, all these engines are cast iron, so they expand and retract. And exhaust manifolds do that a lot because they get extremely hot, you know, well over 1,000 degrees, sometimes 2,000 degrees. So they designed this so whenever the head moves and the exhaust manifold can grow and, you know, contract and expand and things like that. So that's why it's 3-piece, nice setup. And then next on the turbo, and all you guys are super interested in that. The turbo is an S369 SXE Borg-Warner turbocharged. It is a 300 frame HX40 exhaust outlet, and the reason we went with a smaller turbo, even though we are shooting for 850 horsepower, is simply because we're going to be in the mud hole. It's going to be a mud truck. We're going to be letting off the throttle and getting on it a lot, going around turns, and just acting a fool all the time. So I wanted something that's going to light super fast, and it's not going to be laggy and still make power. Is this the most efficient turbo for our setup? Yes. Is this the most efficient turbo for making horsepower? No. But it will do the job for now until we build our big displacement 6.7 inch out there with probably compounds. So yeah, that's pretty much a run around of the outside of the engine, what's going on with it. We are shooting for right around 850 horsepower. Easily should be doing 1,400, maybe even 1,600 foot-pounds of torque, no problem. Torque might be a little low because we do have a smaller turbo, but shouldn't be a problem. Few things to run over about the inside of the engine. I did go with a new oil pump, Cummins oil pump, supplied by industrial injection also. Aaron also pulled the front timing cover off. We resealed it, put a new front main seal in it. We put a new rear main seal in it. All PAI gasket sets, new valve cover gaskets. I did trim the lower valve cover for the head studs. Yeah, that's pretty much it for mechanical. Now is on to the freaking cool part, okay? Huge shout out to my buddy Jeremy Gray at Gray's Performance for this absolutely insane and sick wiring harness on here. Don't get too close. They might see all the dirt that's still on the engine we painted over. So this wiring harness is absolutely the freaking bomb. If you guys ever need anything wiring wise, look them up on Instagram. I'm pretty sure Instagram's Gray's Performance, something like that. You could look it up. Facebook, Gray's Performance. Look him up on Facebook, Jeremy Gray. Send him a friend request and annoy him for me. Tell him I sent you. But what this wiring harness is even though we're running the factory 06 ECM, you can still run the factory wiring harness that came from Dodge or Chrysler, but it looks ugly and you have to cut and splice a lot of things in order to put this engine in something other than the factory 06 Dodge, because Dodge decided it was a good idea to put another computer on the frame called the TIPA. So we've got a standalone wiring harness, and what we do is we have the first connector right here called the C1 connector, which operates the engine. It powers all the wires that go up here to the injector harnesses up here, our wire that goes to our CP3 fuel control solenoid there. We've got wires that come up here to we're running an aftermarket map sensor, and the reason we're running map sensor is, well, for boost pressure, so we can see up to 100 PSI instead of just 30 PSI of your factory map. And we have our factory map sensor here also, kind of just to fill a hole and to be used as a, just a secondary map sensor and make sure which one's working and which one's not sometimes. Up next, we've got our fuel rail. Up next, we got our fuel rail pressure sensor back here on the 6.7. And the reason we also want this wiring harness, we're running a 6.7 rail on this 5.9, is because the factory plug on the 5.9 for the rail pressure sensor is up here in the front, and this one's all the way back here in the back, so the harness is further back. The wires that he uses is not the normal silicone wire. I don't even know what you call this stuff, but your normal wires don't bend like that. So I think there's a lot higher count. Aaron, you would know.
It's a thicker copper wire.
Thicker copper wire. So basically it's stronger, better all the way around, all more gooder. Excuse me, my allergies are getting to me. So yeah, badass wiring harness. It even plugs into our factory starter, and that's just the half of it. It's just the C1 side that controls the engine. Up next we have what's called the C2 side that connects to the ECM, connects the harnesses together right here with this nice pretty plug. And these are all brand new plugs also, all weather tight plugs, great stuff. So this is part of the C2 harness. This is the coolest freaking part, guys. So right there, you unplug that right there. This right here is what goes to the truck, and boom, we can pull the whole engine out. There's no pulling wires off the engine to remove it from the truck if we ever have any issues. Hopefully we don't, but I'm sure we will. So it makes things super simple for having to work on literally anything or pull the engine out. So that is the disconnect. This is like aircraft grade aluminum. It's also sealed, works really well, just kind of snaps in place, something like that, and then boom, twist lock. And the way it's designed, you can unscrew this, drill a hole in the firewall, and boom, mount it up right there how you want it. And then over here, when you buy a harness from Gray's, they label everything on how to wire it up. I'll go over the simple stuff first with you guys. We've got the factory throttle pedal that comes out of the 06 Dodge. This plugs right into it. So in the 97 with a 12 valve, it's got a mechanical pedal where you have to, well, you have to push down obviously to go. But it's got a cable that goes to the firewall, it goes to the injection pump. These are what's called drive-by-wire. So this plugs into the pedal. I don't know, the pedal's out there in the truck, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So yeah, this plugs into the pedal and basically revs the engine up how you want. And then we have right here an OBD2 port. This is how you tune the truck, run diagnostics, plug like an edge inside into it, which I did go ahead and order one of those today. We should have that hopefully by Friday. So you can monitor oil pressure, coolant temp, literally everything through this plug with only 5 wires, so pretty crazy. So that is all it takes right here. OBD2 port, tune the engine. We can literally, with this engine, with the wire harness, start it up right here on the stand so easily with just a throttle pedal, OBD2 plug to tune it. And then right here are the other crucial wires. These run inside the cab. So he's even labeled these for us. We've got switched ignition. So this is like, you see the NASCAR things, they flick the switch, goes, fires it up. Well, this isn't fired up. This turns the engine on and off. So we're gonna have a nice little switch panel. You guys will see that coming in maybe Friday or Saturday, something like that on video, to turn the engine on and off. And I may wire that into the key. Nah, probably not. It'll look cooler if I hit a button and it starts up. We've got the Csp Output Trigger. This is for running a couple different things on the engine for tuning and like two-step. And we have the starter trigger wire. So this is a lot heavier wire. You can see there's a lot more little copper wires in there. So this right here is for putting a starter button on it. So that fires the engine up right there. So you can see right here, he's got the wire that runs the starter. So that right there fires the engine up. So super simple, on and off, starter button, on and off, starter button, Csp Output Trigger. I don't know what that's about. I'll have to figure that out. And this right here is what's called the Csp 6. This right here is where you wire for like a brake pressure sensor, and we're gonna have like what's called two-step on this diesel. So when you rev it up, it's gonna hop up to like 2,500 RPMs with my foot on the brake in the gas pedal on the floor. Do you guys know anything about like trying to sidestep a clutch or anything like that, or staging for drag racing? You know what I'm talking about. So in the mud hole, we come up to the side of the mud hole, we want to let people know we mean business. We get in there, hold the brake all the way down, push the pedal down, and it just, is that how it goes, Aaron?
Something like that.
It just goes when you let off the brake. So cool stuff there. Super simple wiring harness. Like I said, he wires everything. And on top of that, he's included another plug here so that it's in the pins here, and it's got a plug here so we can unplug that and plug more accessories into this engine. And they pop out right here on the other side of the truck. So if we want to power on anything else inside the cab and we want it to pop out right here and power on something underneath the hood, it's all still with just this one plug. So theoretically, we could run like our water meths kit and stuff like that, where this goes to the sensor and grounds out and turns on and off whenever it hits a certain boost pressure, and that can stay on the intake manifold, and even our nitrous, all kinds of stuff. So that'll make things really simple right there. So sick wiring harness. Go check out Gray's Performance, guys. Instagram, Facebook. Message Jeremy on Facebook also, Jeremy Gray, and check him out if you have any questions on that wiring harness. Definitely a freaking badass piece for any standalone, for running a mud truck, putting this newer engine into an older truck, for putting it in a Ford, for putting it in your go-kart, for all I care. Super cool stuff. Check them out. So there you have it, guys. That is a rundown on our Flatty's new power plant. This thing should last a considerable amount of time. What we're gonna be doing to keep the EGTs cool is running water methanol kit from Snow Performance. Stuff I had on my old drag truck. You've seen it when we built the box in the last couple videos. So we're gonna be going over a lot of stuff with the box. Tons of stuff coming. We've finally got our new axle seals in for the axle, so I can get all the stuff off this table and get them shoved back together and get those put back together. The next video, there won't be much talking. It's gonna be a lot of, I'm slobbering, I don't even know why, I'm so tired. It's gonna be a lot of wrenching, getting things done, so you gotta give me a break on just getting my one video and lots of talking. Go to brucewilsonshop.com, grab your merch, grab your Will It Start keychains, grab your douche juice from Industrial Injection. I keep that stuff in stock at the house and website. Grab that stuff, smash the like button, drop a comment down below, and subscribe to the channel, guys. My name is Bruce Wilson. We'll catch you guys later. Peace.